Harness your independent voice. Together, we make it heard. Are you willing to accept the challenge? Welcome to Independent Voice. We believe in the power of independent thinking, where truth triumphs over negativity, and where your voice can spark change. Join us as we explore the vibrant tapestry of independent voices and open minds, united by a shared goal: to inspire ourselves and others to think, speak, and act with independence and courage. At IV, we are dedicated to amplifying voices that often go unheard. Whether you're here to be informed, contribute, or find inspiration, your voice is vital in shaping the conversation. Together, we can illuminate pathways to a paradigm shift towards independent thinking and strong perspectives. Independent Voice, where authenticity meets integrity, harnessing thoughts and igniting change. Subscribe now and unleash the power of your independent voice. Our goal is to make a difference that lasts. Let's put forth our will behind truth and integrity. Ready to be heard?
Welcome to Independent Voice, where integrity leads, voices rise, and truth takes center stage. Today we ask a question that is as provocative as it is revealing. Is Ethiopia too small for Trump's administration? Join us as we delve into what that question truly means, not only for Ethiopia, but also for US-Africa relations, global diplomacy, and the voice of the African diaspora. The Trump Doctrine and the Middle East. Let's begin by looking at the pattern. Former President Donald J. Trump was not shy about his foreign policy priorities. Throughout his term, the Middle East, particularly Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the broader Gulf region, received focused attention. Who could forget Trump's first foreign trip as president in 2017? Not to London, not to Ottawa, but to Riyadh. A move rich in symbolism and power. In that single visit, Trump participated in the Arab Islamic American Summit, announced $110 billion in arms sales, and advocated for stronger US-Sunni alliances against Iran. This was not accidental diplomacy, it was calculated, image-driven, and symbolic. Fast forward to 2024, Trump, now a leading voice in US conservative politics and an active figure in international diplomacy, made another headline-grabbing visit to the Arab world. Once again, the choice was symbolic, strengthening relationships with oil-rich, geopolitically strategic Gulf states, reinforcing economic and defense ties, and publicly signaling loyalty to long-standing allies in the region. The media buzzed, leaders rolled out red carpets, cameras flashed, and yet, across the Red Sea, Ethiopia, one of Africa's most critical nations, remained off the itinerary. So, the question is, where did Ethiopia fit into that foreign policy calculus? Ethiopia, the overlooked strategic ally. Let's talk about Ethiopia, Africa's second most populous nation, one of the oldest civilizations in the world, a founding member of the African Union, a historical US ally in the Horn of Africa. Yet in the foreign policy playbook of Trump's White House, Ethiopia barely made it past the footnotes. No presidential visit, limited high-level engagement, sanctions and transactional diplomacy in moments of national crisis, even as the region's strategic relevance grew. Is Ethiopia too small, or is it simply misunderstood? The geopolitical importance of Ethiopia. Let's be clear, Ethiopia is not a small country, not in the population, not in military capacity, not in cultural influence, not in diplomatic positioning. Strategically, Ethiopia anchors the Horn of Africa, bordering Sudan, Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, and Kenya. It is the source of the Blue Nile, which impacts the water security of Egypt and Sudan, and is home to the African Union headquarters, based in Addis Ababa. When Ethiopia shakes, Africa feels it, and when Africa shakes, the world notices. But has Washington noticed? The diaspora's perspective. From Washington, D.C. to London, Frankfurt, and beyond, the Ethiopian diaspora is watching, engaged, vocal. We are no longer quiet bystanders in Western policy debates. We are advocates, voters, donors, and community leaders. And we are asking, why was our homeland sidelined when partnerships were being forged across the Middle East? Why has the Horn of Africa been treated as a region to police rather than a partner to support? We're not asking for handouts, we're asking for a seat at the table. And while we're asking questions, perhaps it's time we also ask ourselves a question. As a diaspora, can we look beyond the polarizing debates, the divisions that weaken our voice, and instead focus on what unites us? Because if we truly believe in Ethiopia's future, we must stand together on what we share: a love for our country, a commitment to its sovereignty, and a belief in national interest over personal or political grudges. That doesn't mean we all agree on everything. We won't, and we shouldn't. But we must agree that Ethiopia deserves strong, united advocacy from its global sons and daughters. The price of being overlooked. When countries are left out of the diplomatic spotlight, there's a cost. Missed investment, missed influence, missed partnerships. Compare the billions of dollars in arms deals, infrastructure investment, and economic summits enjoyed by US-favored Middle Eastern partners to the limited engagement Ethiopia received. Where were the long-term economic dialogues? Where were the investor delegations? Where were the open channels for Ethiopia's leadership to articulate its vision for peace and progress? Diplomacy isn't just about speeches, it's about who gets invited to the table and who is left knocking at the door. The 10% tariff and the message it sends. In 2024, Ethiopian exporters faced a new hurdle, a 10% tariff imposed on goods entering the US market. For a country already grappling with the loss of AGOA privileges, this tariff felt like salt in the wound. While framed as a routine trade adjustment, the message it sends is clear. Ethiopia is not being positioned as a priority partner. Small businesses, cooperatives, and entrepreneurs who once depended on US trade access are now forced to find alternative markets or risk collapse. This isn't about politics, it's about livelihoods. The irony is stark. While the US supports private sector development globally, its policy toward Ethiopia is currently pushing Ethiopian businesses out of competitive markets. That's not a strategy. That's short-sighted. Despite the obstacles, Ethiopia has made substantial efforts to restore and rebuild. National dialogue initiatives aimed at reconciliation and unity. Commitment to regional peacekeeping missions and AU-led stability efforts. Strategic neutrality in an increasingly polarized international order. Ethiopia is not a passive actor. It's been showing up. The question is, who's taking note? A broader diaspora awakening. As we look inward, we must ask ourselves, are we using our voice to heal or to divide? This moment calls for more than commentary. It calls for coordinated advocacy, not in reaction, but in vision. Not to defend Ethiopia from critique, but to proactively shape the narrative, to inform, engage, and organize. It's time to move from fragmented debates to a unified strategy. From suspicion to trust building, from waiting for validation to asserting value. The opportunity before us. Ethiopia has faced immense challenges, internal conflicts, regional instability, and economic pressure. But it has also shown resilience, nationalism, and diplomatic initiative. There is an opportunity for any US administration, Trump-led or otherwise, to re-engage, with humility, with partnership, with a long-term vision, a presidential visit, an investment summit, a joint task force on peace building, A diaspora roundtable. Small steps can lead to significant changes. A gentle nudge, a strategic invitation. So, we ask again. Is Ethiopia too small for Trump's administration? Or was the moment missed, the opportunity deferred, the policy misaligned? It's not about the man. It's about the mission. A new season of diplomacy is possible. To our viewers, let us raise our voices not with blame, but with boldness. Let us advocate for a U.S. foreign policy that views Ethiopia not through the lens of crisis, but through the lens of potential. If this message resonates with you, share it. Tag your leaders. Call your representatives. Be part of a new kind of conversation, one led by independent voices. This has been Independent Voice. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and speak truth with courage. Step up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Give Ethiopia a thumbs up, not for pity, but for power, for presence. Let it be known that Ethiopia is not to be underestimated. Use your voice to build, to inspire, to push the conversation forward, never to silence others. Voice up.